Peace, family. So I'm back with another one, you know what I'm saying? So today what I wanted to talk about was spiritually cutting it out, you know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of us go through processes, whether we ascending or just having to separate from situations, blah, 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 whatever, you know what I'm saying? We be having to cut ties with different beings. So we're having to cut ties with different beings. We understand that we're not just cutting ties from the actual physical vessel, you know what I'm saying? We actually have to cut ties spiritually from within. So, for an example, this is just for an example. I done discussed this in other episodes prior to this before as well, but my mom's and I don't really have a relationship like that. But the thing is, when I used to live in the house with her, we had a relationship, but it wasn't that well. When I moved out, we had a relationship still, but it still wasn't that well. We had a space and time where we didn't communicate for months at a time, or it might have been a year or so at a time, but it's been breaks in between their spaces. And I never fully cut the spiritual ties, you know what I'm saying? I had cut the physical ties, you know, I stopped communicating, I stopped pulling up on her, I stopped going over there and doing all these other physical things, but in my spirit realm, I never fully cut the ties. I was still protecting her in the spirit realm. I was still sending her energy in the spirit realm. You know what I'm saying? But after my last communication, when I addressed a certain situation, blah, 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 whatever, I was able to cut my spiritual ties with that as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's just like an example of like the depths of being able to cut something off. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to physically remove yourself from somebody, but spiritually, if you're still thinking about them, you're giving them energy. So it's still that spiritual connection in between there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I don't have a connection with my mom's, but the spiritual ties have been cut. You know what I'm saying? We got blood ties and we have history, so that's, you can have that with anyone. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like, if something ever happened or came up and like me wondering if I'm gonna be there or put energy over there, I spiritually cut the ties, you know what I'm saying? And that's just a primal example. You can have examples from when it could be somebody at the motherfucking job that you work with, you know what I'm saying? A plantation. I like to call them plantations, you know what I'm saying? Because it's modern day slavery. It's modern day slavery. So it's the same thing at the plantation. If you can stop working somewhere and being around somebody, or you can get off of work and not be around that being, but when you get off of work, you still talking about that being, you're giving them energy. That's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? So when you cutting shit off, you have to also remove the spiritual connection, which is always the hardest part, you know what I'm saying? It's like trying to pull a plant straight up out the ground. You know what I'm saying? The roots is grounded in the ground, so you're gonna have to work and wiggle a little bit, unless you decided to dig around the outside, you know what I'm saying, and loosen up the grass or the soil, whatever you want to call it, and then be able to pull the roots straight up. I know a lot of beings, they just dig underneath the roots, you know what I'm saying, and then they pull it up that way. But either way, the roots symbolize the spiritual concept, you know what I'm saying? And the rest of the plant or the tree represents the physical part. Even though it's all physical, I'm just breaking it down and just giving a different representation of it. You know what I'm saying? So I like to give the spiritual concept of everything, because everything starts spiritually first. You know what I'm saying? Nothing happens out here without starting within here. It's just like when people get ready to separate from each other, so you got a partner, a female or a nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, you getting ready to separate. Usually that separation happens within here already. You know what I'm saying? And then by the time it actually physically happened, one or both parties was already prepared for it, because it was already happening in here. So that's the same thing with the spiritual ties, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to, when you physically and spiritually cut somebody, you want to remove all connection forms possible. And the spiritual part is going to be the hardest, you know what I'm saying? Because that's considered thoughts, you know what I'm saying? So if you thinking about that being or reminiscing on that, if you thinking about that being or reminiscing about that being, you're giving them and sending them energy. A lot of things we do is giving, sending, and receiving energy. A lot of people and some other entities that's not really worth it, they get their protection from us chosen ones, you know what I'm saying? Us beings out here putting in that light work, you know what I'm saying? That footwork, that spiritual warrior shit, you know what I'm saying? So they want to be able to come attach on to that shit. Letting go is going to be one of the confusing processes. And I would just say confusing, because what's going to happen is when you go to let something go spiritually, you're going to constantly be having that inner battle, you know what I'm saying? That's considered a battle. If we don't know what a battle is, that's part of a spiritual battle, you know what I'm saying? So when you're thinking about that being or that person, you're pushing them thoughts away and you're transforming them and thinking about other things, you know what I'm saying? You're putting other thoughts in place. So if I'm thinking about a person that I was dealing with and I cut them off physically and I want to remove them spiritually as well, you know what I'm saying? If they pop into my spirit realm, then I'm going to automatically be like, instead of thinking about them or reminiscing, I'm going to transfer my thoughts to maybe some more content. Or I got to get into the music and start working on some beats. I might get in and start working on some beats or something, but at the end of the day, it's all a way to transfer my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? That's the main key, is to transfer your thoughts. And I don't want to keep reiterating the same thing. I'm not one of them channels that want to make 100-hour video long and sit there and keep reiterating the same thing. But I just want to get the concept across that you have to remove that thing spiritually first, if that's what you're trying to do. And you have to be able to transfer your thoughts. If you're thinking about basketball, you want to start playing basketball, think about water, you know what I'm saying? Think about a cup. I don't know, that's just something far off random, but it's a way to kind of just transfer your thoughts. And if you have to say it repeatedly, like how we hear shit on the radio repeatedly, or we're watching something and a commercial comes on and it's annoying repeatedly, it's the same thing. It's repetition. You have to put that within yourself. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to run it up too long, you know what I'm saying? But y'all tapping everything down below. Peace to the kings and queens.